Well, Janine, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You actually have a Colorado mug, and I just want to show that real quick. It's
I
so
do.
funny.
This is very fitting. We had to bust it out for her.
Yeah, she can't physically be here with us, but she is joining with us through her mug and through Zoom. Thank you, technology.
Yeah, God bless.
Oh, it's been such a lifesaver during all this.
Yeah, agreed.
So we're actually talking a little bit about technology today. This whole podcast is about improving Instagram. This is actually the part 2. Part 1 was with Maddie, who might be your future roommate. Maybe.
Hey, I don't know. I haven't announced it anywhere, but it's so funny because I mean, yeah, we're 100% like we're looking at places together and everything. And it's so funny because a bunch of my subscribers have even like been like, "Are you and Maddie gonna live together?" And I'm like, how do you guys know this stuff? Like, I don't know how. They're so intuitive.
That's hilarious. I just wanted to be in California because it's closer than Alabama. So I'm like,
Yes.
yeah, go live with Janine.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good time. I'm excited.
Awesome. Well, how we like to start this out is by a couple of icebreakers for anyone listening to get to know you, and for even me to get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah.
So the first one is, I want to know, what was your very first social media? Like, was it MySpace, Facebook?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm 26. So I feel like I've kind of been around the bend a little bit. I feel like it was either MySpace or Zanga. Did you ever have a Zanga?
I didn't have a Zanga. What is
Okay.
I had a Pixo.
See, I don't even know what that is. A Zanga was basically where like, it was so funny because this is where like the original like HTML coding started happening when I became a nerd, because I would like look how to like code on the website, and you could like do different wallpapers on there. You could space it. You could do like, I mean, you could pick your own song on there. So Zanga, I think, was actually the first thing that you could do, and you could do like mini blog posts and everything. And I'm pretty sure, oh, it's so cringy when I think about it now, my username was very Berry Babe 94. I don't know why. I have no idea why. But that was that. So yeah, I think Zanga and then MySpace.
Okay, so when you got to MySpace, you were like, I know how to code. I am a pro at this stuff.
Oh yeah, but at the time I was coding for other people. I was like, let me log in your page and let me do your page for you. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, hey, that could come in handy down the road. Or
it could. It could. I should look into that.
Qualifications from Zynga. Okay, what are your favorite songs from your teenage years that you still rock out to when nobody is listening?
100% Britney Spears. Like the other day I was working. Yeah. Oh my gosh. She was like my ultimate girl crush when I was growing up. Like I remember just like watching, what was the video that she had, like the tight leather, well, no, not this, I think that was from like a little bit later, but like the red leather bodysuit, and you know what I'm talking about, and her ponytail was like way up here on her head, like that whole type of time period. I was obsessed with her. Like Born to Make You Happy is one of my favorites, like Stronger, Lucky.
What about Lucky? Yes. Lucky is so good.
I remember as a kid just watching that music video over and over and over, being like, how do I be like her? Which now it's so funny. We're all like older now, and we see her now on social media, and we're like, oh, whoa.
Yeah.
I don't know about that anymore, but Britney Spears was 100%. That was my girl growing up.
Mm-hmm. She was an icon. I will give you that.
Yeah.
Last one. This one might be a little bit more awkward. What is the funniest DM you have ever gotten on Instagram?
Funniest DM.
Or most awkward?
I've gotten quite a bit. I mean, to be honest, like it's actually really funny. So, you know, like the close friends feature on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
I actually will like screenshot the ones I get, and I'll share them with my close friends, because I get some bizarre ones. Like I get people asking me to be my sugar daddy. I get people asking me for feet pictures. I've gotten people even just being like, hey, I'm pretty sure I just saw you at the store, but I was too scared to say hi. Like, were you wearing like a red t-shirt? And I'm like, and it's weird because you're like, okay, someone was like watching me and I didn't even know it. So I've gotten that. And then there was one guy, there was one person that like sent me a link, and they were like, hey, they're like, your feet are on Wiki Feet of the day. And I was like, what is that? So I started Googling, it was like wikifeet.com. And then it turns out there was an entire page of my feet. I can't make this up.
Why is feet a thing right now?
I don't know. I hate feet. I'm like, why do we glorify this? It's weird. So that was probably the weirdest DM I've probably gotten in a while.
Like all your photos are waist up now. You're like, no posting.
Yeah, I'm like, no more showing my feet. No more selling these for free or whatever. Like it's a weird thing. I don't really get it.
Oh wow. Well, I will pray for deliverance and those people just to maybe stop following you.
Please do.
Well, I'm so excited to have you on specifically this podcast because, I'd love for you to speak more into this, but you've been on Instagram around the block, as you say, for a while. And I feel like you've seen kind of just even different transitions that the app has gone through. I'd love just to open it up to let you talk about how you got into social media and what you tried to do with it.
Yeah. So I started when I was 16. I'm 26 now. Been on it for 10 years, which is just wild to think about. Yeah. It started off as a complete joke in high school. It was something that was kind of like my outlet. I was homeschooled growing up, so didn't have very many friends. And I turned to the internet to kind of have like a creative space for me. And so I first became obsessed with other people's videos. I used to watch a bunch of makeup tutorials. I'd watch like hair videos, like all the OG YouTubers like Bethany Moda and like Michelle Phan, Megan Hart's makeup. And so I started getting hooked on them and I was like, okay, I'm ready to like make my own. And I always knew I wanted to do something within like film and social media because I went to the University of Texas and I was a film major there. And so in high school, it was nothing. Like it was just like a joke. And then I got to college and I ended up like collabing with a couple YouTubers out in California. Our videos like all blew up. I started gaining subscribers really, really fast, despite me wanting to quit before that because I was in college and I was like, I don't think I like want to do this anymore. I was like, I don't know how to balance the college, cheerleading, sorority, friends, family. Like I just didn't know how to balance it all. And then plus I was doing YouTube at the time. And so one of my friends was like, hey, come out to California. We'll do a collab together. And I was like, okay, whatever. So I booked a flight. We did this video. It ended up like blowing up. This video, I think now has almost like 30 million views. It's like ridiculous. Yeah. So after that, my channel started taking off and it grew from like 200,000 to 800,000 a year, which now I almost have 2 million subscribers. And so after that, I was like, okay, I really want to give this like everything within me. I want to give this a go. I want to like full-fledged do YouTube. And so college was when it really, really took off. And then after college, I moved back to Dallas from Austin, which I'm in Austin right now. Moved back to Dallas where I'm from and then decided I was like, I'm going to full force do this. So I tried to be very consistent. I uploaded every week. I was working with brands. I was posting on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, vlog channel, main channel, like a lot of different platforms at once. And so I just really tried to always provide something for someone to benefit from. So whether that was makeup tips or hair tips or faith or dating or skincare, like I just always wanted to help people. And so it just really evolved from just kind of a joke into now where it is my full-time job and I love it and it's growing and I'm opening up doors to new things that I'm doing. And so it's been so much fun.
Wow, that's amazing. It all started with one little video. I think that's crazy how something can just launch and you weren't even expecting any of this.
Nope. And it's been a blessing. I seriously love it so much.
Yeah. Well, I love watching your videos. And I think it's interesting how we met is when you came out here to work on a film with Messenger called The Love You're Looking For. And I remember, not knowing you at the time, but thinking, that is, especially in today's climate, it's bold to post things that people could get offended by. People, when you make a stand for this is what I believe and I'm going to do something to show. And I know you and our team did it to help people, but how do you balance navigating what you feel led to share, even when people take it the wrong way or get offended?
Wow. Yeah, that's a really good question. Yeah, to be honest, it's something that's very hard because it is very, very easy for, me or anybody else on social media just to outright completely just not even talk about those type of topics. And, you know, to be honest, when we did that film, like I was so nervous. Like I was like shaking the day that it got launched. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was like, I don't know what's about to happen from this. But again, like I always want to come from the stance of like, I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to help you. And that's exactly what the Love You're Looking For was. And even anything else that I post, it's like, I'm never coming from a stance of pointing my fingers at you, trying to make you feel bad. And so whatever topic that arises that I decide to talk about, that's always kind of my viewpoint. And so with that specific film, it was scary, but the way I positioned it was like, you guys, like, whether you've done this or you haven't done this, or you are thought about doing this, whatever it may be, like, I just want to give you the help and the resources. And so even, for example, just kind of with like, you know, the current murders of the African-American men that have recently been happening, like even from that stance, like if I remember that God is a just God and he loves justice, then that's something that I feel like as a Christian, we should stand up for and we should speak about, because if it's racial injustice or just whatever it may be, that's something I kind of want to use my platform for. But again, I do think it's very, very important to kind of know the facts and know your stance before you speak up about it. And there are some things I just will never talk about. There's some things I will never touch because it's not worth it to me. It's not something that I feel personally called to, but there are certain things I feel called to. Like, I don't feel okay with racism happening, and I don't feel okay with innocent babies being murdered. That, you know, they're what if they're the next president? You know, that's kind of how I let my mind sometimes go, is like, what if they could be the next, what if they have the next solution to the next COVID crisis? Like, I don't know. Like, I always think about stuff like that. And so it really is a lot of discernment, and it's something that I've just had to develop throughout the years as I've been on YouTube, of knowing that discretion and the discernment on my platform, and also like asking people around me, like, hey, do you think I should talk about this? Or what are your thoughts on it? And discussing it first with my close circle before just jumping on social media and getting angry and immediately making a post, and then later me realizing, oh, I was wrong or whatever. So I do think it takes quite a bit of self-awareness, and just being on it for 10 years has really helped me to do that.
Yeah, I love that. You said that you discuss it with other people. You make it something you've thought about, something you connect with others about, instead of Instagram or social media being an outlet to run rampant, but rather an outlet to really, here's what I've thought about, here's what I've processed. You know, I think that's amazing. And it is so empowering to share things that you do have a conviction behind. And I'm sure that a lot of the people that follow you have followed you because, you know, you post things that they care about. And I kind of want to ask, I know you said that you have some interesting DMs, but have you ever gotten some that have led to actual relationships? And what would your advice be on how to form Instagram relationships that can actually work and they're real relationships?
Absolutely. And I love that question as well, because to be honest, if Sarah Herring had never DM'd me, I would never known you. I would never know Alec. I would never know Tracy. I mean, I would never have met this entire incredible new world of like amazing Christian people in my life. And so because Sarah DM'd me, I mean, I think it was Sarah. Like, yeah, I know. I love her. I love her so much. Because of her, like you know, sometimes kind of what I'll do, and I mean, maybe it's not totally right, but like, I'll kind of gauge the person based off their profile and what they post, and just try to see like, okay, is this like a fan, so-called fan, or is this just like a person that I think just really could be a good friend? And so it's kind of just gauging based upon that. And also the way that people communicate with you in your DMs is very telling. I mean, if someone's like, and I mean, I love everybody. Like, I love people that, you know, are my diehard followers that care and they support me and they're like, I love you. But, you know, it's kind of harder for me to totally build a real relationship with someone that, you know, every time I DM them, they're crying when I respond, or they're just like, I love you so much. And I love those people, but I want to feel like when I'm talking to someone, I can feel safe and trusted with personal information. And so Sarah was kind of that type of person that did that for me. And so you can kind of just gauge based upon the way they write you, how they interact with you, just what that social interaction is, of kind of like, okay, is this a person that really cares to get to know me and my heart, and they're not looking at me for my followers, what I've done, my accolades, my just numbers, my likes, but they're actually looking at me, Janine Amapola. And that's what I really, really care about, is like, I want people to know me for me and not just for my likes and my accomplishments, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I said this on the last or part one of this podcast, but I told Maddie that I actually met Arden through DMs. So
Oh, no way.
even in a romantic stance, but yeah, I think it is something that kind of gets more of a negative rep than a positive
Yeah.
one. So even when he reached out to me, he was like, "Hey, something, something, something. I'd love to call you," and left it as that
Wow.
instead of, "Hey, girl, what you doing?"
You fine.
Yeah. And I mean, I had like 1,000 followers at that point, so I was like, "Who is this guy? What does he want?" And
How did he
then
find me?
looked at his profile. I was like, "Oh, he has some good parents. Okay, yeah, we can talk
Yes.
on the phone." So it can work from what you're saying with Sarah and with my husband.
Yes.
But yeah, just I think that's great. It's good pointers to just watch the language, see what the intentions are, and then see where it can go.
The dating aspect though is so much harder though. Like if it's a guy, I mean, it's easy. Like, I mean, maybe Maddie and I have actually kind of talked about this too, where we're like, you know, there's guys that are constantly like, "Oh, hey, cutie, hey, what, like, and it's hard. I don't want a guy just like sliding in my DM, just dropping some flirtatious pickup line. Like, I'm not interested in that. And so, I mean, for you, it totally worked. But yeah, it's just using the discernment and kind of like gauging, like, okay, what are they really posting? Like, if a guy has like a bunch of alcohol in his pictures, if he has shirtless selfies, if he's even just taking a bunch of selfies, I mean, I'm just kind of out on that. What'd you say?
Yeah, I said mirror pics, like the OGs.
I can't do it.
I actually love that you brought that because I'm sure some people listening were like, I want to meet someone. I'm willing to do the DMs. But yeah, okay, so guys, don't use pickup lines.
Please
Don't go over a load on the selfies. For girls, what should we be doing if we are either getting DMs or sending DMs? What are your kind of red flags of like, hey, I don't post stuff like this because it can come across this way? And
yeah, even for me, just bikini pictures, I mean, I try to be very smart and wise about even that, because I am not trying to lure a guy in with my body. I'm trying to lure him in with my character and just who I am as a person. And I don't want that to be misrepresented. If someone were to go to my page and they were to scroll and they were just to only see like booty pics or, you know, me just flexing my body, which that's just not my heart. And so I think even if you do post bikini pictures, like, it just has to be done in like a non-sexual, showy, flashy way. And so I feel like you could be attracting the wrong guys based upon those pictures, because you're putting your body out and could be potentially attracting a guy that's maybe still dealing with some lust issues. And I don't really want that. And so for me, I don't post stuff like that. And I don't try to post overly sexy, booby, like, you know, selfies of me just biting my lip or pulling my lip down, or like, that's just not really my thing. Because I'm actually kind of over those as well. I feel like I used to do that. I'm not even gonna lie, totally used to do that.
I think the MySpace post was like way up, like angled like this. Like,
why did you do that? And you would go in like the mirror and you'd have your Canon power shot and you would be like in the mirror, and it's just like you look back and you're like, oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. I've gone through, I can't tell you how many times I went through my Facebook post and been like, delete.
Yeah, like that needs to be hidden. No one can see this.
Well, I love that because you are really into fitness and you post about it. And I think one thing with navigating, should I post this or not, is, you know, I am in a bikini, but is it that kind of sexual undertone, or is it just me having fun with my friends? I think for me, at least, if I ever have the feeling of, should I post this? Do I need to ask someone their opinion? For me, that's kind of the indicator of, I can tell I'm a little uncomfortable. So if there was anyone, like you said, that was recovering from something, or even can just take my intentions the wrong way, it's not worth it.
100%. I think that's such a good, like just kind of asking yourself, like, should I? And then, like that just kind of be in the compass of like, yeah, you probably shouldn't. Good. That's good, simple advice for sure.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I'm glad we went there. That wasn't on the notes, but I think that's it's really important to touch on.
Yeah.
One other question I want to ask you is, what are your goals when connecting and sharing on social media? I know you've shared a little bit of, you want to reach people, you want to encourage people, but is there something like, I don't know, maybe even someone that wants to be an encourager on Instagram. They want to be an influencer in a sense. What is your kind of schedule? Or I need to post something that's encouraging as 3 times as many times as I post something personal. Like, do you have maybe a formula?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I necessarily have a formula. I would definitely say I try to be very consistent. I try to show up for these girls as often as I can. And so, I used to do live streams every single day, and I do a Zoom call with my followers once a week where, I answer their questions. I give them advice. So like today's Wednesday, and I'll be doing one tonight with them. And so I don't really have like a ratio of like, normal to encouraging posts. It's more just like, if I feel the Spirit leads me to post something, or if I feel that I've seen a reoccurring question or reoccurring theme from girls being like, I'm struggling with identity, or I'm struggling with body image, or I'm struggling with singleness, or whatever that case may be, then I'll start being like, okay, I'm seeing this as a trend and I want to touch upon this. And so that's kind of what I do. But I mean, I also try to make sure that, the advice isn't just one thing. It's not just like linear. I want the advice to be like, hey, like one week, I try to share some fitness and health tips. And then another post might be, just like dealing with your heart, dealing with issues from the past. And then another post might just be very lighthearted. It's just me traveling, or it's just me smiling at the camera, or it might be more of like a, hey, here's how I'm struggling. And so I feel like there just has to be the balance, so people don't only just think like, okay, all this girl does is throw pity parties, or all this girl does is just pretend that she's happy, or all this girl does is post about her body because she's obsessed with her body. So like, I try to find the balance of like, hey, we can be dynamic and well-rounded, and it's not just I post one thing and then I don't post this at all. So I try to find the balance between all of those.
Yeah, that's great. And I think that even applies to people that have a large following and don't have a following at all. It's just making sure that we have things like social media and we're real and we're honest in all areas.
Yeah.
Okay, I lied. This is the last question.
Okay.
Can you share a positive experience that you've had while Instagram, of either someone that reached out to you and you really got to talk about something that was life-changing for them, or even life-changing for you?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's honestly so cool. Like this past year, I knew God had me in a transitional phase, and I didn't know what that really was. And I just kept hearing like, people always asking, I don't know if you've ever had this where like, it's like, what's your word for the year? Like, do you have a word for the year?
I always feel weird because I don't get like these special words for the year. I think I did last year, but this year it was just like, we're just
taking it day by day. We're existing. Yeah. I mean, someone asked me that, and I mean, before I didn't really think about it. I was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know what my word of the year is, but I just kept hearing this word transition, and I was like, okay, what does that mean? And so I really feel like God is transitioning me out of other things that I've been doing for a very long time and into new things. And he's transitioning my heart posture towards the gospel and what I'm sharing. And so God started opening up all these really big doors of just like, I started this page called the Abide Tribe, where it's basically a way for me to connect with my girls, them to find community, them to start their own Bible studies, them to encourage each other, uplift each other, and help each other in all aspects of life. And so based upon doing this page, I started seeing so much growth. I've been doing these weekly Bible studies, and I've just seen people already be set free from things. I've had girls write me like, thank you so much, because of you, like I've found community. I've found sisters in Christ. I found girls in my area to be my friend. I felt so alone before. I was so lonely. And now I have like a sister with me, like, and it's just like, I get these cool DMs all the time of people being like, thank you for the Proverbs 31 day Bible challenge, because now I'm forming a consistent habit to read my Bible every single day. And that is just really like my goal, is like, I want girls to have that. I want people to have that. I don't care if you're a guy or a girl. Like, I want people to know the Lord, to know their identity, and to be consistent in reading the word and see how life-changing that is. And so whenever I get those DMs, and it's just like, I take like a breath of fresh air, and I'm like, oh, I'm like, this is why I do what I do and why it's so worth it to me. And so, yeah, anytime I doubt myself, because, Satan's a nasty liar and he loves to make you doubt yourself and what you're doing, I get the DMs, and it immediately reminds me, like, Janine, keep going. Like, this is working, what you're doing. And so it's always just such a nice refreshment for me.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing that you've found that thing that God was speaking to you, and that it's helped so many people. And I'm sure that's the most rewarding thing possible for what you're doing.
Yeah, it's a blessing for sure. So thank you for saying that.
Yeah. Well, how we end these is we give everyone 2 minutes, and we say 2 minutes to talk about whatever you want to talk about, since the podcast is called Let's Talk About It. So for 2 minutes, what is something you love to talk about or you don't feel like it's talked about enough? I feel like you did this with your story yesterday of all of the different opinions that people have. Is there one that you're like, this is something that needs to be addressed?
Wow, that's a good one. There's a couple things. So, I mean, personally, I love to talk about faith. I love to talk about, I think my favorite topics are Christianity and dating and just singleness and identity. Like, I love talking about that, and I talk about that quite often. But something I think that needs to be talked more about, and this is something that was brought to my attention when I saw another friend's story, is kind of like the new age stuff. So a lot of stuff in California of just like, astrology, crystals, people just believing in signs too much, or Enneagram even, which can be kind of dangerous. Even like manifestation. I think that those are some things that are not talked about enough, and no one's really fully standing up against that, because I really do believe that those are not biblical. And I mean, I wouldn't say Enneagram is not, but I would say the other ones are. And so I think that's something that needs to be addressed more, and people need to take heed to and caution to, because I do believe that those are things that could be opening up doors to the enemy, where, that could replace God and replace the Bible. And also I think sex needs to be talked about more. I just do. I think it's taboo, and there's a stigma around it. And I think it needs to be addressed in a healthy manner of not judging people and pointing fingers. And I think me growing up in the Bible Belt, that's how it was. And so I want to talk about that more in a way that people understand the why behind God's no. God's so-called no of why you should save yourself for marriage. And so those are probably some topics that I think need to be talked about more. And so I'm launching my podcast on June 1st, and I most likely will be talking about those on my podcast, because I just want people to have their eyes open to the truth and in a loving manner. And so, yeah.
Well, that's awesome. I 100% agree with everything you said. And if you ever want to talk about sex, just let me know.
I do. Let's talk about sex. I got my podcast.
Sounds great. Yeah, I will say the Bible Belt says paint it one way, and then you're like, wait a minute, where's all this other stuff coming from? So
yeah,
if you want to hear more of that conversation, go to Janine's podcast. You said it launches what day? June 16th?
It launches June 1st, and
June
it's
1st.
called Happy and Healthy. Yeah, Happy and Healthy by Janine Amapola.
Awesome. Well, if you want to connect more with Janine, I will have her linked in our video. And if you're on the podcast, Janine, is there a website or your Instagram handle that they can follow?
Yeah, everything is Janine Amapola. So it's Jeanine and then Amapola. So you can find that there. And all my social media is pretty much Janine Amapola. If you search that, you'll find me on everything. And then again, my podcast is Happy and Healthy.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's been such a treat.
Thank you for having me, and have a blessed day. And it was fun to do this with you.
Yeah. Well, until next time.
Bye. Hopefully see you in California soon.
Oh, yeah. Fingers crossed. Bye, Janine.
Bye.